Hey, everybody on YouTube, this is Scoots coming in a little hotter than normal. I'm trying something else out new here, trying to figure out a way to support content on YouTube in the best way to do it, because the way we've been doing it hasn't really been working as well as it could have, or well as it could. So if you like this, if you have a chance before you, as you just started up the episode, if you could like this episode and subscribe to our channel, that would be huge towards me being able to keep putting stuff out like this and trying out new ideas to say, hey, I know there's people that listen on YouTube and I want to give you the best experience we can. And yeah, that's the best way to do it. You could like the episode, you could comment on the episode and subscribe to our channel. And thanks so much. And I really appreciate it. And here we go. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who's here to keep you company in the deep, dark night, to be your boyfriend, your borbay. This show's a bit different. I'm glad you're here. Tonight we're going to be rolling the old 20-sided dice off to dreamland. Actually, no dice will be rolled, though. I mean, if they are, they'll be rolled off mic. Sleep With Me, the only podcast that could involve dice being... Actually, yeah, I guess dice still get rolled. I mean, I have an app where it shows a die. Is it a die? It's a die, right? 20-sided die. So most of the time, it's just one die getting rolled. Now, if you're wondering, what are you rolling on and on about? I'd say because you sound like you're something like a 13-sided die. And I'd say I roll about as evenly as that. Here's a question I don't have the answer to. How many dice are made up of prime numbers? Any? I don't know. Probably not, but just a question that popped in. Oh, but I'm supposed to be introducing a sleep podcast. If you're new and you're here, this show's very different. I'm glad you're here. It's meant to take your mind off stuff and keep you company while you fall asleep. It does take a few tries to get used to. But we make the show because you deserve a good night's sleep and you deserve to not feel, for the deep dark night, not to feel so lonely. So I'm here to help. What else do you need to know? Structurally, we got some support coming up so the show can be free for everybody. Then there's a long meandering intro. And then there'll be a bedtime story where some friends are working on designing their own role-playing adventure and kind of playing through it and being friends. So that's really sleepy stuff. A lot of layers for me to go on off topic about. But I'm glad you're here, and I really hope the show can keep you company, take your mind off stuff, and help you fall asleep. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for making it possible, my patron peeps. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed and turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts on your mind that you're thinking about. Like thought, you say, okay, there's the thought I'm thinking about. I guess they say you can only think about one thing at once, which is kind of one of the theories behind the show. But what they don't say is it normally doesn't feel that way. And the person saying it, then you say, well, I think you should, keep your opinions to yourself. Because usually if someone says that at a time, an opportune time, they say, did you know you can only, so if you're thinking about your toes being, immersed in puffy clouds, you won't be thinking about everything else on your mind. And I say, well, I don't know if it works like, my toes, I would rather have my feet. Does the cloud support my feet? Well, I was just making a quick example. Okay, but I'm just more interested. Now that you're bringing this up, I have thoughts about my thoughts being distracted by my toes. Did you say my toes would be immersed in puffy clouds? Here's a question. Could I tickle the clouds with my toes? Would they giggle? Because I could kind of see that. That would be nice. I don't know. How much does this cloud machine you're proposing, or how much does it cost to book your clouds? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm actually I'm the cloud wrangler. Really? You're the cloud wrangler? I guess I thought tonight's episode would be about our role-playing friends, but this is definitely, so you wrangle clouds. Yeah, I'll tell you more about it in the episode, apparently. But yeah, you could tickle our clouds. Do they call you the cloud wrangler because you, like, wrangle clouds around and around and around and around? I'm not sure I get your reference, but it is early in the podcast, so it's probably fine for you to make a reference like that. I don't know, it just popped in my head. It'd be like, because if they called you the cloud wrangler, does cloud wrangler have the same number of syllables as the rambler? Is that who they called me the rambler? They call me the rambler? Is that I don't know the actual, like I've taken that song so many times when it's popped in my head, unrelated, like that song's lost all meaning to me. Sounds like you should have a puffy cloud in your life. Okay, I didn't realize that puffy clouds is a business opportunity, but I'm interested in this seminar. So cloud wrangler, I like it. There's one thing that won't be wrangled by my methods is a cloud. I mean, I could tell you that, but so that's even more interesting. I would bet you're more of a cloud coaxer, eh? Maybe you should write the episode later. Oh, thanks. You're right. I should probably introduce the podcast. So thoughts on your mind about the past, present, future, puffy clouds. It could be feelings, anything you're feeling emotionally coming up for you related to those thoughts or feelings that are just there. It could be physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, routine. Whatever it is that's keeping you awake. I'm here to take your mind off stuff and keep you company so that you could fall asleep. And for a lot of people, when you first get here, they can be very confusing. The whole idea of the show, whatever just happened. I mean, what's not confusing, I think we could all agree on. I would not mind the image of me. Now, I don't know if I'd be lying on clouds, but even if I was lying on my bed and I had a cloud appear, it wouldn't even have to be a sentient cloud, though that'd be, if it's just appearing at the foot of my bed. And then I tickle it with my toes. And, I mean, tangibly or intangibly, I mean, that could be, they say, holy cow, hey, VR people, send me some money. You could do that on VR, but I was thinking if it had some sort of tangible aspect to it, I mean, with the cloud giggling, but also that there's some sort of density in, physical feedback as I'm tickling the cloud with my toes. Nothing too intense. Not on the density of cotton balls. I don't want my toes getting caught in any clouds. That would be, I mean, I guess that'd be cool. Like that'd be the closest it'd ever be to feeling like Zeus. It'd say, hey, what's that between your toes? I mean, hardy har har. Oh, that's a cloud. No, it's not. No, it actually is. I was tickling a cloud with my toes earlier. Hold on a second. What? Oh, yeah, it's actually, this could be, well, it's a business opportunity. Well, it's my business now. I sell, cloud dispersion units or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's a cloud. You could just walk around the beach with a tiny bit of cloud sticking out between your toes. Most people would just scoff, but they say, no, this is a cloud. Go ahead and take a look at it. Do you have any clouds that have not been between your toes? Because I'd prefer. Oh, actually, I do have I also, to quote that song from the 90s that Scooter quotes, not the cloud wrangler, but the I've got a pocket full of clouds today on the beach. So, yeah, that's talk about a spin doctor. Yeah, this is I've got a pocket full of clouds. I mean, not full. But here, it's a free sample. It's a tiny cloud. Maybe do you think I should charge for these too? But yeah, go ahead, take it. By the way, yes, that was a cloud between my toes. Just floated away and it's already dispersed in the atmosphere. I don't know if it's returning to whence it came, but I felt like I should say that because it makes me feel enlightened. Okay, where were we? The thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, any changes in time or temperature or routine or anything else physically going on with you, or that you're anticipating or traveling or your work schedule changed or you're not on a normal work schedule. Whatever it is that's going on, whatever's keeping awake. The reason I go through all those things, and the most important thing that I've learned, particularly in the last few months of making this show, is that we are alone together alone. Like I know this is a podcast and it's strange, but it is the most important part of the show is that it feels lonely in the deep, dark night for a lot of us. Maybe not for everybody. And that's not easy. And I want you to know there's other people listening right now, and I may not know exactly what's keeping you awake. I may not have been through the same thing. I think I can relate to how it feels, but if I can't, I can tell you there's somebody listening right now somewhere on planet Earth. I mean, let's not even get into there could be cloud-based universes. I don't know if they have Sleep With Me there. But there's someone else listening who can relate to what you're going through and who says, hey, that's tough. I'm glad you're here. I hope this podcast can help, just like Scooter says, because it's not easy. And the other thing is you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place you could rest, a bedtime you don't have to dread, a bedtime without rigmarole most of the time, that you could say, well, at least I got this sleep podcast to look forward to, or this incredibly, elaborate cloud-based machine that I get to tickle in clouds. I can imagine to do that with Scooter. And, or whatever podcast, like I said, I haven't said it yet. If you loathe me already, if you're like, I'm never going to listen to the show again. And I hear from those people on a regular basis. I have a website set up for you. I'm not even saying this in a snarky way. sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. I hear from so many people that loathe me over the past 10 years. I made a website for it because you still deserve a good night's sleep. So check that out. It's got other sleep podcasts on there, other sleepy stuff, because maybe you'll find something that'll help you because we're in this together. So that's why I make the show. And if you get the sleep you need, your life's going to be better. It's going to be more manageable, and maybe you could be out there flourishing, living your life. That means the world's a better place to be in. So that's what I do. What I do is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents, and go off topic. I'll get mixed up, and then I'll forget. We've already seen quite a few of those, pointless meanders and superfluous tangents. The show also can be tough because it's a podcast you don't really listen to, but you could listen. You could kind of just barely listen. Just like looking at a cloud. You see, let's be honest, unless you're a cloud enthusiast, you look at a cloud, you say it might be nicer. Somebody says, that looks like a turtle. And you say, I don't know. It looks more like this to me. Anyway, that cloud's puffy. Wonder what that cloud's doing. Is it moving? How do clouds get flat bottoms? Those are the kind of things that go through that, but then you move on, or the cloud dissipates. And this podcast just kind of dissipates sometimes. So that just takes some getting used to, kind of like looking at something out of focus or a cloud. Also, this podcast, it's a sleep podcast. It was kind of the first sleep podcast out there, but it doesn't put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep, to take your mind off of stuff. And not to put you to sleep, you just fall asleep. I take your mind off of stuff and be a little bit of a distraction that you don't have any investment or stakes in, that you can kind of listen to externally, but you don't have to pay attention to it, but you could pay attention to it. There's no pressure to fall asleep. These shows are over an hour, so you don't have to worry about when the episode's going to end. Or if you can't sleep, you have something to listen to. Because there's people who are listening who can't sleep or who have a tough day and they need a break. So podcast is here whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're listening or not. It does take a few tries to get used to, and because most people get here skeptical, doubtful, tired, frustrated. So give it a few tries. That's just what most listeners have said. Hey, it took 2 or 3 tries for me to realize, oh, okay, this podcast doesn't make any sense or whatever. So that's that part structurally. Oh, what else throws people off? The style of the show doesn't put you to sleep. You don't listen to it. Structure of the show also throws people off. So show structurally it starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. So you feel seen and welcomed. You say, I could check that podcast out. Then there's support, so the show can be free for anybody that wants to listen, which I've learned is very important, and so I'm proud to be able to offer the show for free. And then there's an intro, which is a long, meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime. For some reason, when people dislike the support strongly, they lump the intro in with it, and I don't want you to miss out on the intro. I mean, if you want an ad-free experience, you could pay for it, but otherwise, just like the intro is a show within a show meant to ease you into bedtime. It's different every single time, so that for you or a regular listener, like, yeah, that you can't quite adjust. You never know what I'm going to talk about, but you know it's going to follow a similar amount of time and structure. But that way you could also listen while you're getting ready for bed, or you're getting comfortable in bed, or you're doing some other wind down activity, because that's just what's been shown to work, is having a wind down routine. And for some, there are people out there, and a lot of people are in bed with somebody who just puts their head on the pillow and they fall asleep, and that's great for them. And maybe it doesn't feel great for us, but having a bedtime routine can make bedtime a little bit nicer. It does for me, and it works most of the time. So that's what the intro does. There is a small percentage of people that fall asleep during the intro or that skip the intro. But if you're new, see how it goes. When else are we going to talk about Puffy Clouds? Or you'll kind of see how we make the show and say, okay, I was supposed to record one style of show, but now I'm going to do a different style of show because this Cloud Wrangler came up. So that's the intro. Then there's support again, so the show can be free. Then there's a story. Tonight, apparently, it'll be Cloud Wrangler, and that'll be about 45, 50 minutes or so. And then there's some thank yous at the end. So this is the structure of the show, why I make the show, and I'm so glad you're here. I really work really hard at Your Nice Drive. So do a bunch of other people. A bunch of people work really hard on this show. Couldn't do without them, but I couldn't do without you either. I'm so glad we get to help you fall asleep. I really earn a nice drive to do so. I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for coming by. And here's a couple ways I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. Everybody, hey, it's Scoots here. This is episode, the Cloud Wrangler, which is one of these great untold tales, or is it an interview? Oh, it's an interview. No one let me know about that. 1 second. Let me get prepared. Okay. Hey, everybody. Scoots here. And you didn't hear a delay, but I had to. I didn't realize we were we do have them on the line now. The Cloud Wrangler. And apparently this is an interview. So glad to have you on the show. And I guess you didn't know you'd be being interviewed either. So let me think about some questions to ask you. But so you're a cloud wrangler. I guess that means you wrangle clouds. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what is who do you work for? Who's in charge of wrangling clouds? And tell me a little bit more about that if you want. Okay, hi, my name's, you could call me the Cloud Wrangler. Technically, I don't wrangle clouds. I'm more, that's just a term, that's an earthbound term. And I'm not saying that in a way of judgment. It just is not a term we use. And I know you like to say, do I move clouds around and around and around and around? I wouldn't say I'm a cloud gatherer either. I'm a cloud coaxer is probably the best term. And I do work for Morpheus, not the Morpheus that you're familiar with, or people like them who watch movies in the early aughts are familiar with. But I think there's a new there's a Morpheus that existed before that, Morpheus in comic books that some people may be thinking of. I'm not that Morpheus either, but Morpheus is I don't know, this stuff may be a bit like, so there's a thing up in the cloud, in our world, Cloud Tower, which that has been featured on the podcast before. Now, not a lot is known about Cloud Tower, other than that's Cloud Tower. Well, I guess it's the guidance system for when. So Cloud Tower, it's a bit like where someone works, and they're different than me because they're dealing with traffic from outside CBBs, cloud-based beings. Now, you may say, "Am I a cloud-based being?" I'd say no. But I work in the clouds. You could say my head's in the clouds, but that would only be accurate at the times my head is actually in the clouds, which is not at all times. But, so that, does that answer your questions? It doesn't, but I'm trying to find, questions to ask you because I'm not sure what kind of interview this is. So I want you to imagine something you would wear that's different from your normal attire, but you could tell us about your normal attire first. And then I want you to imagine you are wearing that like something out of the ordinary for you, and going through the public each day, which maybe means something different to you too. And how do you feel about it? Or how would you imagine you feel about it? Okay. Well, the good news is I can try to answer this question because I am familiar with your world and your terminology. Though I'm trying to find a way to describe what I would wear when I don't, our ideas of clothing are just much different than yours. I'm sorry. So are you saying you're up in the sky, wrangling clouds with no clothing on? Well, technically by your terminology, I would be, but that's not true for me because I'm not I'm not wearing clothes, but I'm trying to come up with a conception that you would understand because you don't, when I say I'm not wearing clothes, are you not wearing clothes right now? Right now I am wearing clothes, but this is going to be, right now I'm associated with you. That's how we're doing the interview. Oh boy. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have told, wait a second. So you're wearing my clothes? Well, technically, we're wearing the same clothes at the same time. Okay. All right. But you wouldn't always be wearing my clothes. You're only wearing my clothes because of this interview. And, so that's a little bit, interesting. But, that's, I wish, okay, well, this helps me. So let me can I rephrase the question before you answer it, even though you started answering it and confused me and, maybe gave me a better conception of, I don't do a lot of interviews. The good news is this is the second interview I can recall doing as me. And the last time I did an interview, I was stumped many times too. So this is great that you're but I think the other times I was stumping the interviewee where you're stumping the interviewer. And I feel like that's good content. So normally you're a being that doesn't wear clothes because you don't wear clothes. So that doesn't really apply to you. But in this particular circumstance today, you're here with me, and we're clothed together. And as I say it, I'm trying to develop some level of acceptance of all these things and some calmness, which I think I'm achieving. So what if there was a world where you were wearing clothes, so any outfit in some sense would be different than your normal outfit, and how would you feel wearing if you were a person? So let's just keep it earth-based, because I know, because here's the thing, from what my experiences with Cloud Tower, earth-based beings and not, are humans. Let's just go with humans. I know there's humans and I know there's other things. I think there was like a giant thing of pencil erasers or something that visited Cloud Tower, or tap shoes. So I know there's other things that happen there that I don't, that I have a conception of. I mean, every time I think of Cloud Tower, I think of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and I don't know why that is. Like, I think, Rudolph's a guest, Cloud Tower quite a bit. Very popular. I know, maybe, here's the thing. Rudolph's more popular up here at Cloud Tower than on Earth. Okay. So if you were wearing clothes, if you had a need to wear clothes because let's just say this. Let's say Morpheus said, Cloud Wrangler, I need you to go down to Earth. I'm going to do some sort of mystical, magical type stuff. You're going to take on human form. But please take on human form. I don't need, I just want to give another caveat that even though we're wearing my clothes together and I'm comfortable with it because I'm pretty sure it's cool, because I'm pretty sure you're some sort of vaporous being or whatever, or it's just for this interview. I don't need, I don't need you taking out, I've been reading, I read a lot of comic books, particularly lately. So I don't need to be in it. And then I'm also working on a series that takes place in a role-playing game, and I'm looking up a lot of spell stuff. So I don't need any of that stuff going. I barely have any control over my life anyway, or my decisions, and my thoughts and my feelings. Those are way out of my control. So, in this example, that is only a thought experiment. Please let the thought experiment, and if it turns out to be anything real, that it's just you going down to Earth in human form as an illusion through the power of Morpheus. And as you're getting ready to do that, or before you do that, you would don clothing. Or what we could do, there's a popular sequence in films. It sounds like you're pretty familiar with human pop culture. It typically happens it can happen in teen comedies, rom-coms, other films where there's a sequence, and it's usually a joyous montage of, happens, I don't want to point fingers, but I think every film on the greeting card channel may contain this sequence that I've watched when my mom's not watching the news and I'm visiting her. I've seen a lot of these sequences, like that happens. So, maybe we could do a montage of you wearing outfits, and you telling me, we could just walk through it. Forget the original question. You're headed to Earth, not as me, not becoming me or taking me over, but in your own human form. We're setting aside any thought experiments of, we're just focusing on the outfit. Tell me about some outfits or let's roll through an extended slow moving montage for a sleep podcast, of you coming out of, the dressing room in outfits. And we do, I could be that person that's sitting there. My legs are already crossed and I'm in a chair. That's the great news. And let's take it from there, Cloud Wrangler. Okay, well, the first thoughts I had was, what's going to make me feel most comfortable? Well, I have two competing thoughts, but I'll start with that one. And maybe it's the way you're dressed, even though I know I'm taking on other form, but right now you seem to be dressed comfortably. And also I have access to your, well, I shouldn't have said that, but I do have access to your memories. I also am aware, we keep an eye, Morpheus, taking a liking is probably the wrong way to describe how Morpheus feels about you, but that might be the easiest way for you to hear and understand it. So Morpheus kind of knows your relationship with clothing and things like that. And Morpheus and I both know that the shorts you're wearing now, interesting enough that you brought up your mother, because I think you were either with your mother when you bought these shorts, or you said when you were buying the shorts you're wearing now, you were said, "Oh, I remember when we went shopping with Grandma," to your daughter, and you're buying them at a place that's associated with kind of fast clothing. But I know you've had these shorts for at least 5 to 6 years, and they don't really look that tired, we'll say. But they're also casual shorts you mostly wear around the house, and they're elastic waistband drawstring, some sort of material like linen that's not linen, that is the right thickness for you, very soft, but not too soft, because I know you don't like those clothings that are too soft, and 100% cotton, I'm guessing, which I know you have a preference for, and most of the time. Interestingly enough, your shirt, I guess I wouldn't wear, because your shirt, so I would wear those shorts you're wearing now. I would not wear the shirt you're wearing now, even though you seem pretty comfortable in it. I know you have a ongoing, unsure relationship with what are these manufactured clothing things. It's some sort of non-cotton material. And it's a shirt. The funny thing is that shirt probably was, this was a shirt you got at TJ Maxx. You say really TJ Maxx. That's funny how TJ Maxx. Yeah, you almost say it like a computer. I mean, that's fine. I'm not making fun of you. I just never heard of TJ Maxx. TJ Maxx. But that's fine. Because I just watched Galaxy Quest. I guess that's made me think of it. Oh, yeah. I know you were thinking of making Galaxy Quest 2 in your imagination, Scooter. Morpheus and I had a laugh at that. Well, yeah, we had Galaxy Quest, the Return, it was actually called Return to Galaxy Quest, and then we said, well, maybe we should look up the other original Star Trek movies and then come up with a title based on that. Then we said, what if we just took Galaxy Quest and applied it to another popular property, even though we'd never get the rights to that? And then we kind of said, well, maybe Star Kid already did that. So, yeah. And there's other movies like Galaxy Quest, but we now I can't think of them. Okay, Scooter. So I wouldn't wear the shirt you're wearing because you bought it at TJ Maxx. I know that, and I know that it probably was about like a good deal, but not, you wouldn't have considered it fast fashion. And it's a shirt that you normally is marketed towards exercise or warm weather. And I know that you were strongly encouraged to purchase this shirt by a sibling who loves these style shirts, and that you have 4 different versions of the shirts. You've probably possessed the shirt not as long as the shorts. The shirt is definitely not aged as well as the shorts, because it went from being a shirt you could wear other places to now being a shirt that can only remain within your home. And so we have that. So those things are so, but it's also that, I don't know, one, you got the static issue with the shirt, but I don't know, I know that otherwise you wear cotton shirts as your pajama shirt. Who's interviewing who right now? Whom? And Scooter, I'm just postulating on what shirt I would wear. But I thought the whole thing was that I thought this was going to be like a montage. Right, a slow-moving montage, Scooter. There's probably some sort of like somewhere in another world, Morpheus is probably playing like the pan flute. Well, I don't know if I've ever seen a clothing try-on montage with a pan flute before. You don't know how that would, Scooter. I'm just trying. I mean, I don't know if I've heard the pan flute played slowly either. But I guess, I could hear the up notes when you come out of the thing. So, okay, so you would not wear the shirt I'm wearing now. Now I'm starting to think about the shirt. Yeah, I'm just postulating, Scooter. So the other options would be your other shirts that you call pajama shirts, which are just T-shirts that are either one size too large for you or have too many grease stains for you to wear outside of the house or have, as you would say, too much going on the shirt. And I can say, well, I know you wear a lot of those because you work from home some days, but I don't know, I'm not feeling those shirts either. Okay, now I feel like I'm getting to know you because you're having preferences different than me. So this is good. So we would have the same shorts on. So what are you looking for in a shirt? Well, that's a great question. I guess in this circumstance, I'm looking for something comfortable, breathable, no static. I don't know. I don't think these shorts would feel good as a shirt. Scooter, could I ask you this question? You could. Okay, so how would you feel like, I guess this is like if I was wearing a shirt, that was now, can we get into some of your other wardrobe? And maybe you could even do a try on, not for me, but for yourself later. Oh boy, I think I know where you're going with this. Yeah, so I was thinking, and if I was in your situation, so now I know you have to walk the dog, so that, I guess this is where the objection would come in. But so you have shirts that you're 80% about. Some shirts like the one you're wearing now, maybe you're at 65%. But you like, what about shirts that are open, like a button shirt? So then you have full control over the breathability of the shirt when you're alone and it's appropriate. You could button it up when you leave the house and you have a little bit more material choice. Now, Scooter, by the way, I can read your mind. I forgot to, I'm within your mind. You understand that I'm, a vapor-based being, Yeah, I thought you said you weren't made of clouds, but anyway, so, yeah, I would worry about wrinkling, constriction, and people, like, when I leave the house with these shorts on, usually my footwear is whichever footwear I've left by the door that I could put on without, that I can just use to walk the dog. And so I know the initial shirts you were thinking of, I think I've talked about on the podcast before. And please don't bring up the short shorts. I did say, sometimes I do search for stuff based on intros. And I know on an intro I said I wanted to, have a waffle-based wardrobe based on waffle clothes. I was, waffling on waffle clothing. And I said to myself, I wonder what would happen if I had can you buy waffle-based clothing? Really, that was because I wanted terry cloth clothing. And, but that kind of, I want, I'd like to wear terry cloth-based clothing. But that was harder to find. And then I had a waffle robe and some waffle towels. Now, the interesting thing is the waffle robe is a little thick because it's 2 layers of waffle. The waffle towels are perfect because they're just 1 layer of waffle, very thin. And they're for quick drying. And they're not too soft. I guess some people would say they're like a little bit not soft enough, but I find them great. But so then I went online, I searched for waffle-based clothing, and eventually I found some sort of obscure site that sold waffle-based clothing. And seemed like it was for people that were a little bit, their lifestyle's a little bit cooler than mine or something. Also, it was incredibly low price, so I think it was all on clearance. And yeah, I bought, I said for the live shows, these would be cool. So I bought a baby blue set of shirt and shorts, and then a purple of the color of Sleep With Me shirt and shorts. Now they were like almost from the future. Now I guess in the future I'll be wearing short shorts because they're very short shorts. I also bought a polo shirt and lounge pants or sweatpants. Those were great. I mean, I wouldn't wear them out of the house, but they're lounge pants for the winter. And then the black polo shirt, I haven't really worn it, but I probably could. And then so the other two shirts though are they're like from the future. They kind of like go together like they're complicated closures, like something like a Starfleet uniform. Like if just to give an example, the bottom button, I would have to take my right hand, reach it under my left armpit towards my hip to button the shirt. And then I think the next button is like on my, like below my chest on my right side with my left hand. So I don't know I mean, I could try, I'm willing to try. Okay, Scooter. Yeah. The other thing, I mean, I think that, sometimes you've bought dress shirts on, what do you call that place? TJ Maxx. I know some of those you've left behind, in other places where you have, where your parents and your brother live. So then you don't have to bring as much clothes. So then you just wear old clothes. It's like you wear your hand-me-forwards. They're not hand-me-downs. They're hand-me-forwards. Yeah, that always creates a few days of, I'm from a large family. And I'm a complicated person, but yeah, I had an idea at some point 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Why not have, I mean, I didn't call them hand me forwards. That's a great term. But my parents, now their place is pretty small. So I've only been able to so those clothes where my parents live at their condo, those are more universally left clothes. So, but hopefully ones that my parents don't return, like sweatshirts, towels, socks, which I know everybody, I mean, but if you wash socks, it's like, come on. And maybe a couple pairs of shorts and shirts. But their place is so small. Now, my childhood home is in a transitory state, but sometimes it's rented out, but not always. And so I do have a container of clothes because normally I only visit there. Well, I'll just stop there, even if it was rented out, because it should be near the garage. Though I used to hide it at their cabin. But then people would be, I guess from my point, wow, this is getting deep. This is a serious interview, huh? You're doing great, Scooter. Just keep answering the questions. So normally what would happen is, so it's one of those plastic bins, not super big, but yeah, probably have 3 pairs of shorts, 3 or 4 pairs of socks, 4 or 5 T-shirts, and then 1 or 2 or 3 button-down or casual form, like shirts I could wear out to lunch or something. But clothes that I didn't necessarily wear here or that became have some sort of stains on them. Where if I'm on vacation, sharing a cabin with my family, that I don't really mind wearing. So clothes you're comfortable in when you're in a comfortable place. Yeah. I mean, you could, there's 2 pairs of the exact same gray shorts that are faded from, and maybe even a pair of jeans. Yeah, Scooter. And there's even, you have a couple long sleeve shirts there in case it gets chilly, maybe even a sweatshirt. Yeah, I do. But what was your point? So I was just thinking, because you have some of those type of shirts along with these waffle clothes. The problem with your waffle shirts, Scooter, is you don't wear, they're never going to, I mean, I guess they could be your show shirts, your live show shirts. but that's kind of a very specific and like only could wear them at a certain temperature that, so only that'd be like 1 or 2 live shows a year. But so if they don't get worn in, I just wonder what will happen to them, you know? Yeah, no, I hear you. And so I would say those shirts. And then there's a couple of shirts that either you actually took back from your summer clothes, your cabin clothes, or that you liked so much, or that are very similar to your cabin clothes. And I know even one shirt you did put into rotation recently that, yeah. So wait, are you saying you want to borrow, like when you come to Earth, you're going to borrow my clothes? I guess so, Scooter. I mean, these are the only clothes I've ever known. But I'm going to borrow some of your clothes that you're not utilizing fully, and I'm suggesting maybe you do the same. Okay, this means you're probably not going to try on any more clothes for the montage. No, I think that's it, Scooter. That's a good that was a good montage. Okay, here's another interview question. Scooter, where are you getting these questions? Oh, random. I grabbed like 4 books that were sitting on my couch, and then I'm going through them. And okay, Scooter. This one is, I want you to write a letter to one of your favorite author, musician, actor, or business establishment. What is it that you admire about each of them? Okay. Scooter, again, I don't have a frame of reference for this kind of stuff. Like, I have your frame of reference and then Earth's frame of reference, but we don't have, so we do have authors, musicians, actors, so creative people coming to Cloud Tower. And businesses, yeah, I guess we do have those things, but I don't know, I think of it in a different way. So why don't you talk about one of those things that sticks out to you, and then maybe I could use that as a frame of reference yet again. Maybe even something you've talked about before, but it's been a while. Wait a second. Yes, Scooter? I'm seeing you working now. What do you mean, Scooter? So this is your cloud wrangling skills. You could be an interviewer. Because what did you say you do? Cloud coaxing. You're trying to you're coaxing me. Scooter, I didn't know I was doing that. I don't know if I believe you. Like, do you because you want me to talk about Steven Spielberg, right? Oh, that would be great. Well, what about Steven Spielberg did you, came up for you, Scooter, that maybe you haven't talked about in a while? And maybe this could be a framework. Maybe, Scooter, you could actually do this. We could talk out a letter. Then you could send it to Steven Spielberg. Because let's be honest, you're not you don't want to handwrite the letter because your handwriting is just hard to read. Though you could handwrite it and send it with a typed copy. And then you could, let's just talk it out because I think there's enough people listening to the show now that haven't listened in a long, that didn't listen early on, and they might not know about any of this. Okay, you coaxed it right out. So you want me to start, Dear Steven Spielberg, I just wanted to let you know that you changed my life, and I wanted to say thank you. Now, some of this I would edit because I'm not so Dear Stephen, a lot of this is based on my childhood perceptions of you, though I know that's just my childhood perceptions. But sometimes I think that childhood appreciation is more powerful than reality and the fantasy you created. I don't want to sound, I guess I'm doing a little performative, but I'm trying to be honest and performative at the same time. Okay, Scooter, yeah, this is just a first draft. So, I don't know, you probably didn't know this, Stephen, but there's a couple seminal moments in my life, some of which may be familiar, even current listeners, and I just wanted to talk about them, but leading up to the most seminal moment, an eye-opening moment in my life. But I can remember the day I fully fell in love with movies was the first time I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I don't think Steven Spielberg had anything to do with. Well, Scooter, okay, I think the audience knows that you've talked about that somewhat recently, so you could move on from that one, just in case, because I think that you should probably look that up. But then so just leave that because you have other ones, right? Right, but then when I fell in love with Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was something outside of me, and something like magical, but untouchable, an untouchable, inaccessible kind of magic that I could only see. And then a special summer came, the summer of whatever year it was, when two separate movies came out within a time frame. Scooter, Scooter, yeah, I guess this is all good because, it leads into, thanks for your coaxing. You're just trying to coax me to keep going. You're doing great, Scooter. Okay, so, that was the summer that Goonies and Back to the Future came out. And, by the way, A View to a Kitten, which was a James Bond movie. I think those all came out the same summer. And they came out on my radar because I can remember, I think about hearing and talking about Back to the Future before it came out in a car on a hot day, going somewhere I didn't want to go with somebody else's family, but with one of my friends. And I can remember that. I don't know which movie came out first. I think Goonies came out first. And I can remember this was the first time I was able to go to the movies by myself. There was a movie theater within walking and biking distance of where I lived, even though it was far for a kid. Wasn't too far. And it was definitely the price, especially for a child matinee, was unbelievably low. I'm pretty sure I had my paper out, so I had a little bit of cash on hand. And I remember seeing that movie over and over and over again. And then I found out that there was a movie with more hype coming out after that called Back to the Future. Somewhere in there, I also saw View to a Kitten, a Roger Moore James Bond film, a bunch of times as well. And then this other movie came out called Back to the Future, not A Back to the Future. Now, I may be remembering these in the wrong order, but I don't think I am. And I said, there's a movie that's getting better reviews than Goonies and is even more expected to be more popular. And not the James Bond movie, but the other two movies were in my head associated with executive director, producer Steven Spielberg. And I can remember the moment I was playing with my toys, I think looking forward to seeing Back to the Future, and with the thrill of seeing, again, as a child or whatever, I definitely was not even prepubescent. Or maybe I was prepubescent, but as a child who played with toys. So whatever, 19, I don't know. Scooter, yeah, that's a good age for being self-deprecating. So yeah, I appreciate it. I can remember playing with these toys and realizing as I was reenacting scenes, mostly from A View to a Kitten, but with that anticipation of Back to the Future and the thrill of A View to a Kitten and Goonies running through my bloodstream. That movies were made by people, which was the people who make movies, which the episode I talked about this. I don't know how many years ago it came out, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And I can remember it because I said, wait a second, it's people's jobs to make movies. And that's when I decided what I wanted to do with my life was to become the next Steven Spielberg. Now, couple things you should know, Stephen. I didn't have the greatest, I was not a good student. I was not a very disciplined child. I was very good at daydreaming, consuming and reading, daydreaming, consuming things that would encourage my daydreaming, like books and movies, and playing. So I had those down, those three things, along with like other shades of fantasizing, unrealistic expectations on both sides of the coin. None of this is your fault, by the way, just in case you thought it was, but this is a first draft of a letter anyway. Then what happened, Stephen, was I returned to school after this heady summer, which may have not just been the summer, but I'm associating with the summer because that's how I remember it. I returned to school, and that door didn't totally close, but it felt closed a little bit, right? I felt like I was back in the old airlock, and this was a particularly rough school year. And this happened just like in the movies where finally one day the teacher said, I want you to write a report on what you want to be when you grow up or something like that, your future career, your dream career. And it has to be whatever we were learning how to use books for this kind of thing. And maybe it was on a break. I'm presuming it was on a break because that was when I definitely wouldn't get any schoolwork done because I'd be too busy imagining, Stephen. Maybe that's familiar. And so what happened is that, one, at my school library, which was very small, there was not any books. I don't even know if there's any books about movies. There was a great book about people who like rode the seven seas and the pirates. I could say that, and one about dinosaurs. Those are the main ones I checked out most of the time. And I can't even remember checking out any other books. Then I went to my regular libraries, 2 branches, by the way, Mundy Branch and the Hazard Branch. Maybe even a third, because I had 3 libraries. I can't think of the third library's name. It's on Genesee Street, or maybe that was Hazard. Howlett Hill, is that the other one? Was that Howlett Hill and then Hazard? These are Onondaga County libraries, Stephen, just for your future notation. And now, I think I probably even asked for help. I couldn't find any books on executive producer directors. This was back when there was no internet, or there's there's probably microfiche. Now, I mean, honestly, Stephen, this was also seminal in the sense of this became something I actually enjoyed for time. This was one of the few student activities later in life I would be good at if there was an open-ended assignment and we had to search it because of databases. It became an older student. But at the time, I kind of was just defeated. And I said, well, I'm just going to write this paper from my heart. And also, I have really bad handwriting. I had, stuff happen to my arm when I was even younger. So I also got very tired very fast writing. This had to be handwritten. It probably had to be 6 or 7 or 4 pages. I don't know how many pages. And I realized also I'm not good at spelling. Executive producer director. This is how you start off on the wrong foot. After I wrote it the first time, I put a notation in a kid's paper that said, from here forward, I'm just going to refer to executive EPD or something, or EXPD, instead of writing out. So that was already starting me off on the wrong foot with this teacher who I was already not having a great relationship with. To say we didn't get along would be an understatement. But there I was, saying in this paper, one day I'm going to be like Steven Spielberg. Now, the funny thing was, I didn't really know what you did or how you did it. I just knew the result and how it made me feel, where it took me. And and what the after effects were, what the excitement leading up to it was, how when the lights would go down, everything would go away, and how it'd be changed, and how it would stay with me, and how it was something that I hadn't imagined that I was watching unfold in front of me. And, I was just a kid. I didn't know how to translate any of that to words, but I probably tried. I probably gave it a pretty good try. A little too flashy and a lot of neither style or substance, but a lot of honest excitement. And just like in the movies, that paper was returned to me with an F. And probably not a lot. And in the teacher's defense, not following the instructions. And I know I probably did 2 drafts, but probably not a lot of effort either. Like the effort happened in between it, but the effort was mostly based on thoughts and feelings and imaginings. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess at the time, maybe if I could go back, I'd say, what if you wrote a letter and said, hey, I want to understand how you do this. What are the steps you take? What's it like? How do you get through those times when you feel like it's not going good? How did you get there? What would you tell me? What do you wish you knew back then? And I know you say, watch The Fabelmans. How about that? And I'd say, okay, I'll bring that with me in my time machine. Also, do you have access to a time machine? But anyway, so I did get an F. Maybe I got a D, but I was already not great. It didn't hurt my grades very much. Now, what happened though, unfortunately for me, was that I started to develop the wrong organs. I didn't have a cloud coaxer, an internal cloud coaxer at the time. I didn't realize how important that was. Until this moment right now, where I was coaxed into the fact of saying, oh, that's what a cloud coaxer does, a cloud wrangler. It helps to keep things in flow, because my flow got blocked by the letters F to the E to the A to the R, and kind of maybe buying too much into that all or nothing thinking that I was talking about. That was so powerful. It took me a long time to figure out how to coax that stuff and direct it a little bit, but also to celebrate those things that you taught me through being swept away, being excited for it. I guess what you showed me was that this is the best place. The consumption of books or films or music or whatever is the best place to experience unexpected and unfulfilled and expectations. Like unexpected expectations sounds strange, but I don't know what I was trying to say. Unrealistic. You don't need realistic expectations when you're there consuming stuff, but I just needed that cloud coaxer, or to get in touch with that part of me that could coax those clouds to say, okay. And maybe that, I don't know. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll watch The Fabelmans with my younger self, and maybe with this cloud coaxer, and then see how it goes, and then maybe write the letter after to get notes from my kid, and then So yeah, I'll get back. By the way, this is a draft, so I won't get back to you. But in case you're reading this draft somehow, it's just a draft, and I'll get back to you. Don't know how to get a hold of you. But I don't think that's an important part of this exercise, because originally the intention of this exercise was because I didn't know I was going to be interviewing a cloud coaxer, and I wanted to have questions to ask a cloud coaxer that would result in meanders. So in that sense, it worked out great. for helping people, realize they're not alone with this stuff, right? And that's maybe what a cloud coaxer does too. But it's just, by the way, it's just a draft, just in case. So thanks, cloud coaxer. I guess, could we have you on again? Because that was like, that was only 2 questions that got answered, but holy cow, was it. Another surprise, different than my other interview I conducted with Jenny, the username generator, but just as delightful. So thanks for coming on, and I hope that the cloud coaxers out there coax you into a deep dreamland where all will be well. Good night, everybody.